Hello and welcome to the College Signing Day Virtual Summit. My name is Phoenix. I am also known as the College Success Professor via my podcast, Office Hours with the College Success Professor. I am also the host for the College Signing Day Virtual Summit. I put this together in celebration of the class of 2020 because it's an important thing that you all have done, being able to graduate from high school, and I wanted to celebrate. Even though we can't have the live in-person College Signing Day, I decided why not do a virtual College Signing Day, and perhaps we'll continue to do this even after we are able to actually meet and talk to each other in person. So before we actually get started for College Signing Day, I wanted to share with those of you who are logging in to say hello, say where you're from, what city and state you're from, what college you're going to be going to in the fall. If you want to share the high school that you're currently in, perhaps you have some fellow classmates who are joining us today. We wanted to give you some information, some resources, some things to help you to be successful for when you go to college in the fall, whether you're in person or face-to-face. So let me get my slides started, and I wanted to talk to you about what we have in store for you today, how we're going to celebrate you all as graduating seniors. So again, welcome if you just joined us to the College Signing Day Virtual Summit. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Definitely hashtag Signing Day Summit. Share it on social media that you joined us today. Invite your friends. Send them the registration link to join as well. So for those of you who don't know what College Signing Day is, I want to share a quick video of College Signing Day in 2018, where Mrs. Obama, former First Lady Obama, joined us in Philadelphia at the Leah Center in Philadelphia to celebrate all the graduating students in the city and locally to celebrate them. So usually, for those of you who don't know what College Signing Day is, it's an in-person celebratory event. We have speakers, we have presenters, we have people from colleges who are here to celebrate you, who are here to encourage you, who are here to motivate you to be successful. So allow me to share this video. It was a great time. Unfortunately, we're not able to do this year, but hopefully we'll be able to do it in future years. So enjoy the video. And while we are waiting for more people to come in, I'm going to play the video, I think. All right, yes, we're gonna play the video, and we're going to encourage you to watch.
To be in the signing day feels great. We get to see Michelle Obama, we get to see Camila Cabello. A lot of people I'm excited to see.
It's just nice to be in an atmosphere where everyone has the same goals. You know, we're going to college, it's really exciting.
Not everybody has this opportunity, and we're glad that we made it.
I'm going to the schools, and I'm really excited to see my school here represented.
I'm going to East Stroudsburg University, Delaware State.
I'm going to Temple University.
I am attending Albright on a full ride. Woo! Congratulations!
Today, we celebrate all of you.
We are so proud of all of you guys here.
You're going to get the opportunity to give yourself structure and discipline, and it will be difficult, and you will have your rough days, but don't ever stop from believing in yourself.
You are the future. We are counting on you. We depend on you. So congratulations. We're excited to see all your peers in college start the next chapter of their life.
One thing I want to accomplish is make it as many connections as possible.
I want to expand on my social life. I want to meet different types of people. I'm so used to meeting people like me. I want to change the world by becoming a nurse and showing that Black people can also change the world.
I feel like teachers have a major impact on our students' life. We're here today because of all the support that we've had. So I want to be that support to encourage others to achieve their goals.
Make some noise for Mrs. Michelle Obama!
I'm coming to see Michelle Obama. She changes the community as a whole.
I think it's great that Michelle Obama's here. I mean, who else? She's a role model to everyone.
To all of the young people who are celebrating College Signing Day, we are proud of you. There are always haters out there telling you what you can't do. But here's why I'm so proud of you all. You did just what I did. You guys ignored the haters. We need you all to be successful. And we need you all to strive for the greatest heights that you can imagine for yourselves. That's why we're all here today. And we have such high hopes for you.
I feel like it's important to make our decision, whether it's college, military, job corps, and we celebrate you for whatever you do.
2,000 events like this are happening all over this country. Because what we know is what you all have figured out. There is nothing more important than your education.
All right, so hopefully you got a taste of the energy, of the excitement, of the celebratory event that College Signing Day is. We're going to try to recapture that for you all today by giving you a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, a lot of resources for you to be successful when you actually go to class in the fall. Because as some of the people in the video said, it's going to be hard, it's going to be challenging. There are going to be obstacles that are going to be placed before you. And the presenters who are here today are going to give you some tools and information to help you to be successful when you're actually on campus in the fall, what you can be doing now this summer to prepare yourself so that you can be successful when you actually go to college in the fall. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this event was to celebrate the class of 2020. I felt bad that you're not going to get a chance to participate in College Signing Day in person, that you didn't have a chance to do your prom, that you're not going to have a graduation in person celebrating all of your accomplishments, your 4 years of hard work, all of the applications, all of the projects, all of the papers that you've had to do to get yourself to this point. So like I said, this is my way of giving back to you all. I talk to students every day through my job. I talk to students on my podcast, and I know that it's an important thing for you to be able to go to college and to the excitement that is usually, ahead of you and the future that you have in store for you. So for all the future doctors, the future nurses, the future teachers, the future accountants, this is for you. I'm celebrating you, and I have brought a lot of people today and tomorrow who can give you some valuable advice and information about how to be successful in college. So let me move on to the next slide, talking about who is going to be talking to you today. We have 3 speakers lined up for today. We also have 3 speakers lined up for you tomorrow, so definitely come back for tomorrow's events, and they'll have some more information for you. But before we talk about what's happening tomorrow, let's focus on what's happening today. Starting the summit off, we have Dr. Stephen Jones from Villanova University. He is he's a engineering, his background is in engineering. He's won a lot of awards, which I will state in his bio. He's going to be talking to you about how to achieve your academic goals in college. For those of you in STEM majors, science, engineering, technology, math, you know that that's a challenging major going into college, but we want to prepare you with the tools and information and resources to help you stick with it. It's going to be challenging. It's going to require a lot of work. It's going to require a lot of study. Dr. Jones is going to talk to you about how to achieve your goals academically in college. After Dr. Jones speaks, we're going to have Dr. Esohe Osai from University of Pittsburgh talking about finding purpose and living with passion. That is something so important for students to understand what their purpose is, what their purpose is for life. Sometimes we figure that out in college, what your purpose is for going to school, what you hope to get out of it, and exploring all the possibilities that are going to come in front of you in college. So she'll be doing a talk on finding your purpose and living with passion. Lastly, we're going to have a student who is graduating in May, college student from George Washington University, talking about scholarship displacement. Not only is Zaniya Lewis a college student currently, full-time college student, ending up her last week of finals, taking time out of her schedule, she's also a founder of a nonprofit organization. She also does advocacy. She does so much. I don't know how she does it. She also has a summit next Saturday for college students. So hopefully she'll be talking to you about that. But it's important, the topic of scholarship displacement, because it involves your money, and it's a lot of information that students don't necessarily know about scholarship displacement. She's going to share her story, her experience with scholarship displacement, in order to help you not to have to experience what she experienced with scholarship displacement. So definitely stay tuned for that. After each speaker talks, they will have an opportunity to answer your questions. So definitely, if you have questions already, if you have questions while they're talking, type them in the chat and we'll ask them those questions. After each of the speaker finishes presenting and we are done with the speakers, I will have an open question and answer period. If you have general questions that you may have not asked during the actual presenters, I can answer some questions. We'll talk about who is going to be on for tomorrow, and then we'll end the day. But don't forget to come back for tomorrow. The same link that you use for today will be the same link that you use for tomorrow. So let me jump on it introduce our first speaker for today, Dr. Stephen Jones, talking about how to reach your academic goals in college. His contact information and website are there on the screen if you want to check him out after the presentation. But Dr. Jones is currently an Associate Dean of Students in the College of Engineering at Villanova University. Dr. Jones serves as an education advocate for K-12 students and parents. He believes that there is a tremendous hope for our next generation, and he's committed to helping them to achieve their goals and dreams. Dr. Jones has received several awards, including the National Society of Black Engineers Award, the Society for Hispanic Engineers Award. Additionally, the Drexel University chapter of the National Society of Black Engineers named the Dr. Stephen Jones Award for Academic Excellence in honor of him to acknowledge his dedication to students. So I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Jones, who's going to give you a wealth of information. Get out your notebooks if you don't have them ready, take notes, and definitely be aware of all the information and valuable information that he's going to be sharing with you all. So without any further ado, Dr. Jones.
This is Dr. Stephen Jones, and I'm so glad you decided to join me for this wonderful session on how to achieve your academic success goals. Now, it doesn't start at the end of 4 years of college. It starts right now. As you're about to graduate from high school and we're throwing up the confetti and we're enjoying ourselves, we're also thinking about what is it going to be like to be in college. So these will give you some tips and strategies from my 30 years of experience of students that are successful. So why go to college? That's the question that's asked. Why should I go to college? And so you need to have that answer. And so there are some things that are going to happen because you've gone to college. One is you'll increase your knowledge and your skills. You'll learn how to problem solve. There are a lot of problems out there in all different kinds of professions, whether you work in business or government or you're working as an independent solopreneur. There's going to be a lot of things that you need to know how to solve problems. You'll also develop some critical thinking skills. You'll think in a different way. From the first year to the fourth year, even as an undergrad, you'll think in a different way. Your maturity will kick in and you'll be able to have some critical thinking skills. You'll also develop skills in your profession. You'll be more positioned to go in your profession and do the work that's required. And then you'll also become a better communicator. Communication is really an important skill. It's amazing how we do social networks today and we send out text messages and emails, but there's nothing like you communicating in front of people, in front of an audience, and that makes you even more valuable to a company. You want to raise your earning potential. Students who actually earn a degree earn $1 million more in their lifetime in terms of a bachelor's degree than anyone else. So it's worth the investment of the 4 years to get that particular outcome. To increase your career options. So today, when I went off to college, we thought that we would come out of college and work in a place 10, 20, 30 years. But today that's changed. Every 3 to 5 years, it seems like students who have gone out into their professions are changing their careers, changing their skill sets, and thinking in different ways. And so you want to position yourself in that way, and a college degree gives you the ability to be more effective in change. And so the last thing is to learn how to adjust to job changes. You're going to have a lot of job changes, a lot of job shifts. You know, we had this recently with the COVID situation. We had people changing jobs, going home, online. They became educators of their children. So the whole thing shifted. There are going to be many companies that maybe when you get out, that's the norm. Everyone's kind of working at home. So just position yourself to be more flexible, and an education will do that. So again, know your why. You should have a written goal in terms of what you want to accomplish in going to college. And I always say, and I'm not just saying written for the future, I'm saying written right now. So I want to encourage all of you who are listening to this right now, if you have a sheet of paper, and write down at least 3 to 5 goals that you want to accomplish over the next 4 or 5 years. And they found out that students that write down their goals earn a lot more money in their lifetime than a student who doesn't write down their goals. They did a study of some students that graduated, I think it was from Harvard or Yale, and they found out that 20% of them had written down their goals. The 20% who had written down their goals had more achievements, earned more money, did more things with their lives than the 80% who had not written down your goals. So writing down goals are very powerful tools. You can place it in a place just to remind you of what you're trying to accomplish. So also to identify a career that you want to pursue. You have opportunities to talk with faculty, career center, alumni, just to figure out exactly what you want to do. And then to have training to work in professions that you selected. So I would say to you, I would never want a dentist that hasn't gone for additional training. I would never want a physician or a lawyer that hasn't gone for additional training. So you want to have skill sets that other people don't have so you can go your profession and do them well. To get to meet people from other states, other parts of the United States. It's a great thing to meet people from the North and from the South. You get to meet all these different types of people who have different ideas and who've had different experiences, and that can broaden your horizons. As I said earlier, to earn a good income, a livable wage, also increase your chances of career advancement. I didn't focus on it the last time I spoke on this topic, but you can, in other words, start off, become an associate in a company, become a manager, become a vice president. So all these things that you're doing right now as a foundation are preparation for your future career. Don't look at them as just, okay, well, I know I procrastinate. I'll improve that when I get to work. I know I work on projects late. I'll improve that when I get to work. No, college is preparation for how you're going to do things when you get to real work. So work on those things, improve your skill sets, use each year as a year of maturity. Say, last year, yes, I did procrastinate sometime, but now I'm getting close to graduation. I need to get on the ball. I need to have a schedule that I'm following. I need to have a daily planner. I need to be really organized so that I can be effective. The other thing is that college will help you to learn different cultures, different languages. Some students go abroad. In fact, I had one student that went abroad to study in Australia, and he never came back. But that's not the average student. The average student comes back to the university. But you actually get to earn credits that you can apply towards your education when you come back. So it's worth the experience, especially if you're really trying to learn a language, which makes you more valuable in the workplace. You can actually use, let's say it's Spanish or French. And so now in those communities in the United States, you make yourself more available and more employable. So there's some foundations for college success that I think you ought to investigate. And remember that the journey to college is starting right now. As you graduated, don't take the summer off. Don't take the summer as vacation, because it's between now and I'm starting college, so I'm just going to hang out for the next couple of months. No, not that you can't have fun. I'm saying the preparation that you do over the summer prior to college can be one of the biggest contributors to your ultimate success. So use the summers to prepare for college life. Ask a lot of questions. Find friends or other people that you've been in contact with who've already gone to college, and start asking them questions. What is it going to be like? How do you think I should be preparing myself? Increase your reading, writing, and comprehension skills is important. And I would say that's something that you could do over the summer, is just finding more books to read, or if you know what profession you're going in, and you can ask the faculty what books are they going to be using, then find out what those books are and then prepare yourself for that well in advance. You should read every day, because in college, you're going to be reading every day. You're going to be reading volumes and hours of information, working on projects and assignments, and you have your class time, but then you have your out of class time. And every instructor thinks that they're the only instructor that's giving you work to do. So you have to prepare yourself as if that education is your job. Once you get to college, for every hour of class, you should be studying for at least 2 hours. So every hour is a valuable hour. Again, not that you shouldn't relax, you shouldn't have some fun, you shouldn't have a fitness plan and go to a few games, but that's not the main reason why you went to college. Your main reason was to get an education. Work on your English, your math, and your science skills. And I just want to, again, as a person that works with engineering students, I want to say to everyone, make sure you're working on your math and science skills. Most curriculum have some kind of math and science in it. And if you're thinking that, well, I didn't do well in high school, or have any question about those two areas, get tutoring right away. Don't wait until the last minute. Get on top of it. Get the help you need. And if it's offered in a summer offering, take advantage of that. Maybe the university has a pre-college math program or science program or writing program. Take advantage of those things. It's going to really help you to be effective. Communicate with faculty over summer. Sometimes you have your curriculum early, so why not send some questions out to the faculty member asking them, how can you prepare yourself? Are there other things that you should be reading in preparation? Are there videos that you can watch? So be preemptive. And one of the things that you can also do that we found that students who do well in college, they actually research the faculty's research. So if you start to study their research, you then understand how they think and how they process things. So it's worth that investment. And then also make sure that you attend the new student orientations. All colleges have a new student orientation. It is the period of time prior to getting into your classes where they're going to help you to make the adjustment and get to meet some of the other students that will be a part of your class. So one of the things that you're going to get once you get to college from each one of your instructors is a syllabus. And what is a syllabus? It is a roadmap in terms of what's going to be happening in the class. Every day it has assignments that you're supposed to do. It tells you when your quizzes are, your tests, your projects. So it is a roadmap. So you need to read your syllabus every week. Make sure that you're on top of things. Don't get behind. I've had so many students that they got behind. And it is very difficult to catch up. And it's very difficult to catch up and do it in a quality way if you wait until the last minute realizing that you didn't do what you needed to do. So know when your assignments are due. Don't procrastinate and wait until the last minute. I know you got away with it in high school and you still were able to get good grades, but that's not going to work in college. You need to study several days ahead of time. And that's the way you do it. But change is a good thing. Organize the materials that you need for projects in advance. You can go out and buy those things in advance and be ready to put that together. Again, starting your projects early, start on term papers early. Don't wait until, okay, it's due on November the 30th and I'm starting on November the 15th. No, you need to get started on it early. Record any changes to the syllabus each week. The instructor might say to you, okay, we said that we were going to be on this chapter, but no, we're going to be on that chapter in the following week. So you want to be aware of that and make changes. And then read all assignments that you're given. And if there's things that are not clear, ask questions. I will say that again, please ask questions. Professors want you to ask questions. There are administrators around campus. They're there for you to ask questions. If you go to the library, ask questions. Don't let your pride prevent you from asking the questions that will help you to be successful as a student. Now, I know you may think this is kind of early on to talk about tutoring because you were one of the star students at your high school. You were in a top 10 class. You never needed tutoring ever in your life. But let me share with you a secret. There are a lot of students who are coming to college who've been tutored all the way through elementary school, middle school, and high school. That's why they were so good, because they were receiving tutoring all along. So when they get to college, it's not a big deal for them to go to a tutor. They understand the benefit. So don't let your pride prevent you from going to get tutoring. I wanted to say that up front, that it's a wise student, it's a smart student that goes to get a tutor. Arrange a schedule where you can regularly meet with them. Don't say, well, I met with them on this one part of the problem that I have and I don't need them anymore. Once you have a tutor, keep them for the entire semester. It's only going to help you do better. It's only going to help you to earn those A's and B's out of the classes. Review your notebook before you meet with a tutor. So there's some preparation that you need to do before you meet with a tutor, so you know what questions you have. I've had students show up for tutoring, but they didn't prepare themselves. So the tutor asked them, well, are you ready? What questions do you have? I really don't have questions. I just need help. No, go prepared with questions. Come to the tutoring session ready to work, ready to be focused, ask plenty of questions, practice preparation for your test during your tutoring session. So that's another great benefit. Let's say you've been going to lessons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with your tutor, and now you have a test or a quiz coming up. Now you can prepare and have questions and reference to that particular session. And sometimes, a lot of times, tutors are students who've already taken the class that you're enrolled in. So that's another benefit. They have knowledge they can share. They might even have past information from tests or quizzes that they can share with you. Although the instructor should be changing all the tests and quizzes, but you just want to be adequately prepared, and they will know how the instructor is thinking and what they're expecting from you. Go back one. Okay. Time management. So we need to manage our time. I wish I could be there with you at the college that you're attending, but I can't. Only you can manage your time for yourself. And this, in fact, if I were to send you back to your goals, I would have you write down one of your goals is I will manage my time. I will have a plan on how I'm going to use my time throughout college. So getting a daily planner and organizing it. I know they have these electronic planners now, so that's just as good. If you have an electronic planner that can alert you when tests and quizzes and projects are due in advance, that's a great thing too. But some of us are visual, and if we write it down, it's better for you. So I say write it down. Sometimes I give out a weekly time management sheet, and the students actually write in that and make changes to it as they go along. So that's a good thing as well, that you actually have this time management sheet that you're using. Make a list of things to do. Every weekend, have a list of what your priorities are. What are your top priorities? What do you need to get done? What things that will be roadblocks or challenges during your week and you might need help with. So have all those things prepared in advance. What are the projects that are due even 2 weeks from now? So you can start early if you would like, if you have a plan that you're following. And then review your list of accomplishments. I put this down is to see, so you can see at the end of the week what you've done. What have I accomplished? What are the things that are still outstanding? So I could put those on my list of things to do for the next week or things to do for the weekend. Maybe this weekend, you can't go to the football game or the track meet to watch because you have to get this work done. And you have to not have distractions in the ability to do that. So this ties into our whole thought about procrastination, but no last minute test preparation. I've seen students prepare at home and then a crisis happens at home and they can't study for the test the night before the test. I've seen students try to study on the bus. The bus is crazy, and so you can't hear anything on the bus. The bus is normally quiet, but on the day that you have an examination, all of a sudden the bus is rowdy and crazy. You think that you're going to arrive to school early, and you get there early, you'll be able to study. And you arrive, the bus doesn't arrive the normal time that it arrives. So don't position yourself that you haven't done preparation early. And I always say my strategy is study at least 5 days ahead of time for any test or any quiz that you have, and you can stagger it based on your schedule. Review your books for important points, and you'll notice in every book, the way the chapters are organized, that there are points that it's highlighted, and those highlights are just showing you things that you should know. And just a strategy with that is, there are things that you know, that's fine, but highlight the things that you don't know. And those are things you need to review and go over again and ask questions. And when you're in study group or you're in tutoring, you can get help with that. Review your notes. Again, review your notes is really good when you can do it with your friends who are in study groups, because you always will find out something. You were sitting there for the same lecture and you missed something. So this is a great opportunity for you to get good information by sitting in a study group that's organized and planned out, and actually get the points that you need to add to your notes. If you don't understand your notes, ask your professor questions or get a tutor. So I will not say, I will say that I wasn't the best writer when I was in college. And there were times that I did need to ask the tutor some questions. I had to do a review before I did that. And and really map out my time to make sure that I could ask the kind of questions and get the answers that I needed. So it's fine, you know. And another thing is, one of the reasons why you want to rewrite your notes right after class is immediately on your mind. You might have been rushing, and therefore it was more scribble than actual writing. But when you do it immediately after class, it's fresh in your mind. If you wait 3-4 days later, you'll ask yourself, well, what was I trying to say? What was I trying to write down? I don't remember. And then maybe you can't connect with your study group, and now you can't get the information. So try to do it immediately after class. This is all part of scheduling. So you have your actual class schedule, you have your study schedule that's in your schedule, and then you have your free time schedule. And when you actually have a good schedule, it'll give you more free time here and there because you actually have done the things that you need to do. And it'll also reduce your stress because you won't be thinking in the back of your head, okay, I think I got this done. I think I got that done. You won't have to question it. You'll know that you got it done. Another thing that you don't do in high school is that you don't regularly meet with your teachers. That's, you know, not the way that things are done. But I would say that it's a good advice for you. And I say to my students, go to your instructors and ask them, what do I need to do to earn an A in your class? You know, ask that question. Like, what are the steps that I need to do? It's not, you know, it's just showing that you want to be one of the top students. So your professor may give you some additional information that he or she has not given you before. So you want to prepare yourself. You want to show yourself as a student that's actually studied and understands, but then you're getting ready to meet with the professor. So you, again, want to show yourself that in terms of the level of preparation that you're doing, and even the coming week meeting with the professor. Review a quiz or a test with your instructor after, especially if you get a test that the score wasn't the position that you wanted it to be. You want to meet with your instructor to go over the test, go over the quiz, make sure that you're going in the right direction in terms of how you're answering things. I've seen some situations where students on an exam, they gave the right answer, but they didn't give the steps to the answer. And they lost points because they didn't get the steps, because the professor wants to know how you're thinking as you give the answer. So don't allow your pride not to. And so again, if you met with them in advance, the instructor can tell you, I want to see all the steps. And so you'll know that in advance. Join a club where your professor is the advisor. That's always a good thing. So you're putting yourself in front of the instructor more. And as an advisor, they're more relaxed, they're more hung back. You can go over, sit next to them, ask them questions. You want to develop a relationship with your faculty. So the faculty talk to each other. So if you're a student that's really positive and you're engaged and you're doing, you're doing what you need to do, that message will be sent to other faculty because they're all in the same department. So you want to leave a good impression of yourself, your professionalism, your ability to prepare, your inquisitiveness, the ability to ask questions. You want to show yourself that type of student, as you're that type of student. I remember being back in high school, and I think the largest term paper I did was like 8 or 10 pages. And when I got to college, the term papers are 15, 20, sometimes 25 pages. And I was like really upset because I just like, how much can I talk about? 15 pages? Like, this is too much. So I had to go, humble myself, go to the writing center or go to my professor and ask them for help, because I needed kind of a kickstart on how to even do an outline that will enable me to write that much. So don't allow your pride to just let you stay stuck. I know my term paper is due in October, but I just don't know where to start. That's the time to go get help. Don't say, okay, I'll put it off for 3 weeks and then I'll come back to it. Because you'll probably do the same thing that you did the last time. Say, I'm just frustrated, I don't know what to do. So go get help. Start your paper with an outline. That's my suggestion. Let's say the topic is music. So your outline may say, okay, I'm going to talk about jazz. I'm going to talk about contemporary. I'm talking about gospel. Those are the 3 areas that I'm going to talk about. And then my subtopics under that, I'm going to write 3 pages for each of those subtopics that are under that. So now as you look at that, that's how I get to a 15-page paper, because I identify how many pages I'm going to write on each topic. And I'll say this, write on the topic that you enjoy the most first. So let's say the gospel music was your first most exciting one. Then you want to start with that one because it's going to get you charged up. It's going to get you energized in terms of what you're writing. So it's important to have your term paper edited. Just don't turn it in because you did spell check. Try to have someone look it over. Also, your instructor might be willing to look it over in advance. If you get it done early enough, you can turn it in advance and they can make corrections or changes, and then you can redo it and get a better grade. So don't wait till last minute. Ask your teacher if he or she will review the papers, like I just said. Know when all the papers are due. That's another thing. What's your calendar? So it's not, let's say it's due November the 15th. It's important to know that date, but it's more important to know what's my start date. So your start date might be September the 30th. So have those on your calendar so you know you're getting started, and stick to the date that you established as your start date. Don't keep pushing it ahead. Keep a dictionary, thesaurus available to you. And now you can do that, of course, on Google. You can search on Google. But back in the day, we had these big dictionaries. They were made of paper, believe it or not. But today, you have all these electronics. In fact, as you're writing, you can click on the word and it'll take you to the correct word. So take advantage of those kind of resources. It'll help you with your reading and your writing ability as well. Find a quiet place to work on your term paper. You have to turn off the TV and other distractions so that you can focus. And then get your paper done early. You also might want to have, just going back a step, is if you are stuck, do a brainstorming session with someone in your class. I had a student, and I had to take a history class. I will say that, history is okay, but it wasn't my love. But it was his love. And so I met with him to help me start my paper because he could show me different aspects. So find the other students who have a passion for your subject and take advantage of that. This is something that's important, is basically watching your attitude when you're in a course. So you want to wake up each morning with a positive attitude. You want to, involve yourself. For me, I read the Bible, I pray. That's something that gets me started in my day. Some people read positive quotes, or they turn to certain videos that charge them up and get them excited. Motivational speakers, they listen to YouTube or a podcast that gets them their day started. You're going to have instructors that you're not going to love everyone. And it doesn't seem like they love you, but you still have to get through that class. There's no way of getting around it. And in fact, in engineering, there's very often only one instructor teaching a particular class, and you can't get around this instructor. You have to take him or her, that's part of the curriculum. So you need to have a strategy, and you need to make sure, again, you have tutors lined up, you have other books to review, you have other websites. Sometimes instructor that seems to be hard in a class is not as hard when you go to meet with them. So maybe you need to meet with them a few times just so you can soften the relationship. Again, some instructors have an attitude if you always sit in the back. They're not going to relate to you or connect with you because you're sending them a message that you didn't come here to be a part of the class. So watch your body language and what you're doing to prevent yourself from being successful in the class as well. Form a study group. I did not have study groups in high school. The school that I went to, we didn't do it. I'm sure there are other schools that did. Students got together over lunch and things. That didn't happen in my high school. I didn't know about group studying until I got to college. And it probably took me maybe 2 semesters to really understand what the benefit of a group study was. So what it will do for you when you form this group, you'll have really smart students on a subject sitting together to share what they're picking up from the class, what they're picking up from their reading. And you'll also find out that you know some things, so you'll be able to contribute to the group as well. So collective knowledge makes for better knowledge. and it makes for you having the potential to do better as a student. So ask a limited number. I think 4 or 5 is enough. 6 becomes a party or a hangout. So just have a limited size group. Assign the group members certain things to do. I think that you need to actually have that. Some groups have, I call them buds persons that keep the group on task. So you might have a person like that that makes sure that you're following your time schedule and getting things done when you're together as a group. Give each student a chapter to read. So maybe you're going through chapters 4, it's 4 of you in a group. Each of you will present one of the chapters that you're reviewing for your examination. Create your own group test questions. So each of you can present a few questions in a group and just see how all of you would answer it. That will give you a different perspective on how someone else answers it versus how you answer it. It may give you just a new strategy to think about. And so the other thing is be willing to meet after classes have ended. So, well, depending on the schedules and how they fall together, there may be time during the day, but most of the time study groups meet later on in the afternoon or evening, or after everyone's eaten dinner, they'll have study groups. So it just depends. Be flexible, but recognize that it's a great tool, great resources. I would put this up there with getting a tutor, because there's a lot that can come out of it. And you may, again, find out one student that's really, really smart in that group, and you happen to journey into a class together, and now you can study together. That student can be your tutor. So here are just 3 good education websites, Khan Academy, YouTube, and TEDx. There's just a multiplicity of websites where you can learn different study strategies, gather different information, do research. So I would definitely suggest that you take advantage of that, do the additional views of information. If the instructor, for example, is recording all their lectures, go back and review the lecture again. I bet you'll be surprised how much you missed when you go over the lecture 1 or 2 other times. So it's worth taking the time to do that. Review the videos, ask questions. So maybe you pick up something from the video and you go meet with the faculty and ask them some questions. And you might present some new knowledge to the instructor, and they really get excited when that happens. You can get tutoring over the internet now, but your university should actually offer that. But there is tutoring available. One of the ways that we do it at the university is our students are able to access our alumni, and the alumni are willing to tutor certain subjects because they've actually had those instructors too. So that is a possibility. Use YouTube to search for certain information and do it from perspective of research. You want to be a researcher. You want to be a person that's gathering knowledge. You want to be a person that's asking the question and becoming the expert yourself. Yes, your teacher is the expert, but you can become an expert too. Those are the students who are in A's in their classes because they've become the experts themselves. And I talked about this earlier, but write down your goals. So I talked about general writing down your goals. Now I'm talking about writing down your goals with a specific purpose of what you're going to do in a class. So focusing in on your calculus class or your physics or your history class or your writing, whatever communications class. What is your goal for the class? What do you intend to accomplish? What are your measurables? I want to earn at least a B+, if that's your measurable. So you want to earn at least an 85 or better. And so you can measure that. That's something that you can actually see. Am I getting back a bunch of 70s or 65s on my examination? I am not heading toward the goal that I expected in this class, and I need to do something different. Believe that all things are possible. Have a positive attitude. Again, if you have a negative attitude toward a course, you're going to get negative results. So have a positive attitude. Get to know the instructor. Ask others for help. Some students are really shy. Some students don't want to ask for help, but it's just a good new practice is asking for help so that you can become that professional eventually that will ask for help when you're working on projects and assignments. This is practice, college is practice. Make a list of things to do for each day, for each course. So know what your priorities are for the course, have goals, and having goals makes you do better in the class. All right, so you want to be organized. How many of you, I'm going to ask this question, if I was to come into look where you study right now, there'd be things all over the place. There'd be papers and books and your supplies for the projects. It'd be crazy if I was to see how you're living right now. And so I'm going to say to you, take the summer to practice organization. You should know where all your books are. You should know where your resources and supplies are for your projects. You should know, you know, you want to drive your roommate crazy at the same time. You want to get into a room where like you are just so unorganized and not ready. So use the summer as practice for organizing how you're going to do things, when you're going to do things. I think you'll do a lot better. Get rid of clutter. Some of us don't, you know, we just keep adding stuff on top of stuff, but get rid of it. If you haven't used it in a couple of years, you probably don't need it. So get rid of it. Keep all your books in one location. In fact, sometimes I know with my children were in school, in elementary and middle school and high school, I would say, put your books at the door so that when you're running out the door, you don't forget them. So same thing, you do kind of the same strategy in college, know where your books are at, so that when it's time to study in them, you're not running around and trying to find them, or you have time, you're meeting with your study group and you can't find them because the room is disorganized. Read class textbooks before class. That's another, that's a strategy for success. Read them before class, not after class. Maybe you got away with that again in high school, but now's the time to read before. And the other thing that it'll do is you can sit in front of the class and have some knowledge. So the instructor asks you a question, you read the book before the class. Keep your notes for classes in binders. Have a calendar that you're following. We talked about that earlier. Record your notes. You actually record your notes on your cell phone if you want to do that, and then play them back to yourself when you're studying. So that's a good thing as well. And you may have an instructor that says to you, I don't mind your recording in the class. Why not record? So I would say definitely take advantage of that, but also be organized in your schedule enough that if the professor says, I'm recording this myself, you can go back to your room and review this. Have it in your schedule that you immediately go back and review it. That way, again, it's fresh in your mind and you won't forget the things that you talked about. And I just keep reiterating this, prepare for tests well in advance. Another thing is meeting with your counselor. All the colleges have counselors. And you may have never needed a counselor before, but counselors are there not to get into your business, but to be a resource to you in terms of managing your stress, anxiety, different types of issues that may come up personally. They are there to help you through some of those. It's not, you're a whole person. It's not only you in the classroom, it's you, the person. And one of the assessments that we used to use when I was in college, it was an assessment. How am I doing physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially? And we actually had to write down on a scale of 1 to 10 how we were feeling in those areas. And if certain areas were falling down, we would go for counseling. It would be an indication, I need to go for counseling. So go to the meeting knowing what you want. Maybe have a few notes that you've taken down. These are some issues that you're having. And usually the counselor will share with you some of the ways that he or she helps students. Get an idea of that, get time management help if that's a problem. There are professionals who are willing to help you with time management. So it's not something that you have to live with on your own. Ask questions. Some of them are really more career counselors. So you can ask questions of them and they'll make sure that you're prepared for jobs. They can help you with a job interview. They can help you with a resume. They can help you with an internship interview. They can help you, let's say you're going to study abroad, but you need to interview for the particular opportunity. They can prepare you for that. So take advantage of the counselors and professionals on your campus who are there not to get into your business, but to be of help to you. And then you certainly want to discuss in the privacy of a counselor, family issues that might come up. And those can be weighing you down. So it's not that you're not a good student, but the things that are happening to you emotionally are preventing you from thinking clearly. So it's good to go see a counselor to get that information out of your head and get help. And then, as I said with the tutor, continue with your counselor for the semester just to help you through it. Some students have had death in their family. That can be a big adjustment if it was a person that you were really passionate about. And it's good to have someone there that you can have a conversation with. Now, I put this up there because a lot of students think that once they get out of high school, that's the end of searching for scholarships. And there are a lot of scholarships that are available to you while you're in college. And so I want you to continue to look for scholarships, because certain scholarships want you to have a GPA, the grade point average, to even apply for the scholarships. I've seen students earn $10,000 and $15,000 scholarships with the GPA that they earned while they were as an undergrad. You can get it as early as after your first semester, you can apply for these scholarships because now you have a GPA. So make sure if you see scholarships, put down the deadlines. Make sure you know what's due for them. Is there a recommendation letter? Is there something that you need to write? Have a folder where you keep all this information. So if you ever need to submit a recommendation or other information, you can do that. Go to Google and search for scholarships. Let's say you are in chemistry. You know, there may be the National Chemical Society, there may be chemistry companies, there may be different product companies that deal with chemicals that offer scholarships. So do a search using different types of names, different types of topics to see what pops up. And then submit all your scholarship applications on time. I keep talking about this timeliness, but I've had students that missed out on a $20,000 scholarship because not that they weren't eligible, they just didn't submit it on time. And so I want you to do that. So just here's some additional tips on study habits. Make sure that you're organized, you're planning, you're not procrastinating, and you're studying several days ahead of time. Use your daily planner to track all your assignments. Review all your notes immediately after class or your recordings. As I said, I like to reiterate things. I think that's important. Use 3x5 cards as a tool for memory. And again, electronically now they have these 3x Quizlet, I think it is, that you can use to create your own 3x5 cards electronically to help you study and memorize material. Organize a study group to go over materials, and then get a tutor. You mentioned that early. Sit in the front of class. They've done some research. Students that sit in the first 2 rows of class earn better grades than students that sit in the back. So it's worth sitting in the front. Be prepared, be ready, and be enthusiastic. Ask your professor questions after class. That's another thing that you can do. And if they're not available, meet them in their offices. And then there's a time of family transition. Now, this is about to happen. You're about to graduate. That's really exciting. And then you're thinking of the next couple of months. I know our college, Villanova University, we start in August. So should you start in August on campus, now's the time to really spend time with your family. And we've been in with our family a lot lately because of COVID-19. But it's still important to have fun with your family. Make sure that if there's some conversation you need to have before you go away, have those conversations. Don't wait. And I'm saying this to the parents. Don't wait until you're dropping your student off to have conversations with them. Have all those conversations that you want to have with them before, well before. Try to find a quiet place in the house where maybe the 2 of you can sit down and have some pizza or something and just have a conversation. And now's the time. Ask open-ended questions. Don't ask, let's see, how you doing? Okay. And they'll say, oh, I'm doing okay. No, ask a question. What makes you feel good today? What makes you enjoy this goal of going to college? So they actually can have a conversation. So you actually can look on the internet, and it'll have a list of open-ended questions that you can ask your child to create a conversation. Organize a college-bound party. Now, what they've been doing lately, just as a tip, is on Zoom. They've been having Zoom parties. So you can gather a group of friends and relatives and have a party on Zoom. Or they've been doing drive-bys where they drive by the house and they shout out and bump their horns, leave presents and gifts on the lawn. So we got to be real creative today in launching you off to college. But my goal is that you'll be really successful. Things I talked about was tutoring, manage your time, organizing, planning, having goals, not allowing I don't think I said this, but don't let your friends be in college be distractions from your goal. Have specific goals and limitations even on that, like how much time you're going to spend with them, because they may not have the same goals, or they may not be in the same curriculum as you, that requires a lot of help. So this was going to be question and answer, but I'm going to give you my information. So if you decide that you still have more questions, you can go. I've written several books here. One's a study skills book for college students. I have a book for parents. It's kind of the ultimate parents guide. And then I have a scholarship guide. But I also want to say to you, I'm turning all these books into courses online, so you'll be able to take advantage of them online as well. Here's my website. There's my email. And certainly you can give me a call. I'd love to be helpful to you, and also do some one-on-one tutoring and Zoom with different individuals as well. And I want to thank you for this opportunity just to share with you some of my years of experience, and hopefully this will be a benefit to you.
Wow, I would like to just, there was so much information in there. I really thought it was very valuable. That could be a book in it. And I think that slide presentation can be a book in and of itself. But I assume you just took all the good nuggets from your books and just put it in the presentation. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy the book.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have the study skills things, that's in my book. And it'll be in the course. And so I try to make sure that the things that also I used on my own children that help them to be successful as students and in life. And one of the things for me was not only being the educator, but to be in my children's lives as an educator. They saw me helping everybody else, but I didn't want them to ever say that I wasn't in their lives. I didn't show up for their concert. I showed up for all their concerts, their games. We carried their cello to the performances. We were engaged with our children, but I was able to help hundreds of children with their goals to graduate. And that's been a passion of mine. And I'm thankful for this opportunity.
I do have one question, although we don't have the students live. What is one of the common mistakes that students, especially students who are studying STEM areas, make when they are, first going to college?
Great question. I will say that not understanding how much math or science foundation they have compared to other students. So the two critical courses specifically for engineering and many of the sciences are calculus and physics. And those are the two courses that usually wipe students out of engineering and science because they haven't been adequately prepared for that. So I say to all students a couple of things. One, if you're in your senior year, you need to make sure you're in the right sequence to take calculus, or at least pre-calculus going in. A lot of students don't have that opportunity, so you need to go to a community college and take those classes, and there are schools that will allow you to do that. Same thing with physics. Another problem I see with physics is students will take physics in the 9th grade. Well, they get to college and they don't remember it from the 9th grade. So I always suggest taking another course, maybe at a community college, or doing some kind of online review before you actually take a physics class. Because within the first couple of weeks, everything you've learned is gone, and it's all new information. The other thing that I learned just from my personal experience is that I didn't have AP classes in my high school. Advanced placement classes. Those are the higher level, almost college level classes. So I was not prepared at that level. I didn't even if they were there, I wouldn't have known. So I want to say to parents, if you see an opportunity for your student to take an AP class, even though it'll be a lot of work, it'll be well worth it. It's kind of like mental muscle. They're developing a mental muscle to be successful. And if you can have a good foundation in the math and sciences, and if there's maybe even a summer program that you can attend, a lot of them are actually having virtual summer programs this year, but take advantage of that. Even if you take a calculus class over the summer with a community college, you can still take calculus in the fall at your current college, and you'll have a better foundation going in. So I think it's a lot of preparation in those areas that will help students to be successful. And then if they know they need help, I've said, go get a tutor, go get help. That's available to you. Another thing I didn't share is maybe your instructor doesn't teach it as well. You ask your friends, are there any instructors that do teach it well, and meet with them in office hours? Or ask them, can I sit in on your class as well so I can get it better? I've seen students do that and do very well with that.
And then one more question. So I also work with students, and I know that STEM majors are difficult. Do you have, probably in your role at Villanova, may have had an opportunity to think about how you can motivate or encourage students, because it's going to be a challenging major. It's going to be some difficulties that they're going to encounter. Do you have any words of encouragement that you usually give students when they're like, oh no, I can't do this, I'm going to give up and switch to an easier major?
Yes. So one of the things that I try to be personally involved with the students, and basically I encourage them by talking with them about what have they done to be successful in other classes and how they can take advantage of those strategies to be successful in the more difficult classes. The other thing I think is that students don't realize how much more time it's going to be for a more challenging course. So they get frustrated by that. And I help them to not think that that's unusual. And let's map out a strategy so that you can use it to your advantage. The other thing is, there are people that want to help you. Don't let your pride get in the way of you getting what you need. It's there for you.
All right, well, I will stop with my questions,
No,
but
you can ask me
maybe we'll have you on a podcast one day. I do have a podcast.
Sure.
But I would like to thank you again for your time. Thank you for all of this wonderful information. Like I said, I encourage students to watch this video a couple of times because it's so chocked full of good information. I would say that you might want to, like you mentioned, I think earlier in the slide, you may not have gotten all the good nuggets the first time. So I would encourage students to watch it over and over again now and right before you go to school, so that this information stays fresh in your mind. All right, well, I will let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again for gracing us with all this information.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks.
All right, take care.
I hope you all enjoyed that great presentation from Dr. Jones on how to achieve your academic goals as a college student. Again, especially for those of you who are going into difficult majors, it's an important thing. All of the topics that he talked about are important. Next up on the day of the summit was a presentation by Dr. Esohe Osai from the University of Pittsburgh, talking about finding your purpose and living a life with passion. However, we lost the footage for her presentation on the day, and Dr. Osai was not able to re-record her presentation, so I am going to step in and give you a presentation on finding your purpose as a college student. There are some similar elements to Dr. Esohai's presentation, but definitely it's some new information, some good information. So for those of you who were able to attend live, I definitely encourage you to check out my presentation because it gives some unique information, some new information, and some examples of students and different case studies and examples of where they were, and where they wound up in their purpose journey. So without any further ado, let me get my slides together and I will share my slides. So again, the topic is finding your purpose in college. For those of you who are just watching this part of the video, let me tell you who I am briefly. My name is Phoenix. I am the host of today's summit. I am also the host of the Office Hours with the College Success Professor podcast, where I interview students, where I interview faculty, where I interview people who work with college students in an effort to help students to find examples of how to be successful in college, learn lessons from people who have been there and people who have worked with students to be successful. So that is the Office Hours with the College Success Professor podcast. I also work in higher ed, so I have a lot of valuable insights and information to share with you all. And I chose this topic in particular because it's very important for college students to understand why they're in college and the goals for their education. So let's talk about what in particular we're going to be talking about today. We're going to define purpose. We're going to talk about why purpose is so important for college students. We're going to go over a couple of myths about purpose. We're going to talk about where you are, or help you to figure out where you are in your personal purpose journey based on some research. We're going to give you some examples of students who have are different, are, follow the 4 criteria that we have for figuring out where you are in your purpose journey. We're going to do some activities, or I'm going to tell you about some activities that can help you to figure out what your purpose is regarding purpose reflections. And we're going to talk about how you can explore and uncover your purpose if that is something that you really want to do. So let's get started. Ooh, what was that? So why is it important to have purpose as a college student? Based off of a lot of research about students and how long it takes for students to graduate, it's important to find or have a purpose for your education, because if you are exploring or you don't really know what you want to do and you're going from one major to another major, it can often take longer than 4 years to graduate from college, because different majors have different academic requirements. So if you're not exactly sure about what you want to major in or what your goals are for your education, the time that it takes to figure that out while you're in college can also cost you money. So that's one reason. Money is a top priority for students these days. So that's a reason why it's important to find your purpose in college. Also, I like this quote here. That the most common cause of failure in college is not the lack of ability, it's the failure to establish a reason for being there. So that sums it all up. Most students who are not successful in college is not because they aren't able to do the work, they aren't able to, fit in, they aren't able to be successful. It's because they don't really know why they're there. They don't have a overall or driving force that's guiding them throughout their purpose, throughout their college experience. So what would it mean to do college on purpose and with purpose? That is going to be what we're going to be talking about today. What does it mean? And one of the things that I like to say for those students who think they know for sure that I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be an accountant, I'm going to be a nurse, or whatever your ultimate goals are. If you know for sure what your purpose is, that is great. There's still some valuable information for you. And one of those points is this quote here. It's important to have clarity about where you want to go. Like I said, if you already know what you want to do, that's great. Knowing that you can change your way of getting there. So oftentimes students who are fixed about what they're going to do when they graduate or what they want to do when they graduate, they have a clearly delineated idea in their mind about what's going to happen. And oftentimes life does not happen in the way that we expect it. So you need to be open to different possibilities, open to new opportunities, open to a different way of your life happening. So that is the purpose of this quote here. And there'll be plenty of quotes sprinkled throughout this presentation because I'm a fan of quotes and I like using other people's words to best express the ideas that I want to convey. So what does purpose mean? That's the first point. We're defining purpose. So if you look in the dictionary, the definition of purpose is the reason for which something exists or is created. So that's the noun definition, basic definition of purpose. And that's a fine purpose for general conversation. But if we're talking about the direction of your life or what you want to do in your life, we're going to use a better definition, a research-based definition. And we're going to use an author, William Damon, who's pictured on the slide, wearing the blazer and the blue jacket. He is one of the people who leads the Center on Adolescence at Stanford University and the Graduate School of Education. And he has done a lot of research on the topic of how young people develop purpose in their lives. So the book that he wrote on the topic is called The Path to Purpose, How Young People Find Their Calling. And in the book, he has done a lot of research, interviewing countless numbers of students and young people across the nation on, how they were able to find their purpose or where they are in their purpose journey. And in that book is a definition of purpose. And he defines purpose as a stabilized, generalized intention to accomplish something that is at the same time meaningful to the self and consequential for the world beyond the self. So we'll go into break down that definition a little bit later, but he also goes on to say that purpose requires both a personal desire to accomplish something meaningful to the self and a commitment to take the actions needed to do so. So for this definition, it's a 3-part definition of purpose. And we'll go into why that's important and how relevant that is for people in figuring out what they want to do. We're also going to go into a layperson's definition of purpose. However, I would still say that author and Oprah Winfrey, author Oprah Winfrey, and what is Oprah? She's a she's a mogul, I would say. So author and mogul, Oprah Winfrey, who had her talk show for so many years and was able to interview so many people, so many leaders, so many spiritual leaders, so many important people in the world about purpose. So the book, The Path Made Clear, is Oprah Winfrey's summation, accumulation of all of those interviews, all of those words of wisdom. There's a paperback version or hard copy version, as well as an audio version, which is actually recordings of the actual interviews that she did with people. So I would definitely recommend that you check that out. I don't know if it's on Audible. I definitely listen to it via the free library here, which is where I get all my books from. So I definitely, if you don't have a free library card, whether you're in Philadelphia or elsewhere, definitely get one as a student. Anyway, so Oprah says that the definition of purpose, or the meaning of purpose, is to fulfill the highest, most truthful expression of yourself as a human being. So that is also another definition. And finally, we're going to end with another academic, Angela Duckworth, who is a professor at the University of Pennsylvania locally, and also in charge of the Character Lab at in Philadelphia, which is a place that focuses on character development and education. And grit is one of the fundamental parts of that. So she wrote the book Grit, The Power of Perseverance and Passion, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. And she defines in the book grit is the intention to contribute to the well-being of others. So again, this is similar to part of William Damon's definition, that you have to contribute to the well-being and purpose of more than just yourself. But she also says that purpose is tremendously powerful as a source of motivation. So when we encounter difficulties in life, which is oftentimes going to happen as a college student and in life in general, having a purpose or knowing your purpose as a driver and is a source of motivation to help you overcome whatever that challenge is. So we have four, if you count the actual word definition or the dictionary definition of purpose. We have 3 ways to describe what purpose is. For the majority of this talk, we're going to focus on the academic definition of Mr. Damon, because he has a whole book on the topic and he's done a lot of research on the topic, and I would say he's the authority on what purpose is, especially for young adults. So in his book, he has a research-based definition or categories for people, young people in particular, on where they are in their purpose journey or their journey of figuring out what they want to do with their lives. So there are 4 different ways that he describes people. So we'll go over those definitions and you think about where you fall in these categories, and we'll go into more detail a little bit later in the presentation. So the first category is a dreamer. A dreamer has ideas about topics that concern them, but have made no real effort towards them. So this is an example of, you've always wanted, or you've always dreamt about, or you've always fantasized about something that you would like to do. Perhaps you would like to be president one day, or perhaps you would like to, make a real difference or impact in the world with regard to the environment, or something that you really think is good for the world, but you haven't really done any work towards it. You haven't, participated in any advocacy. You haven't done any, you haven't volunteered in any organizations. You've just thought about it. The thought has been in your head, but you haven't taken any action on it. So if you would like to make a positive contribution to the world, there are so many things that you feel are important, but you haven't had an opportunity to, or you haven't done anything to take any action, then you will be described as a dreamer. So are you a dreamer? All right, let's figure out where you are in your purpose journey and help you get where you want to be. So are you a dabbler? And dabbler is defined as having participated in a number of meaningful activities, but lacking a real commitment to the cause or follow through in the long run. So this is a little bit different than a dreamer. This is a person who may have tried a bunch of different things. Maybe you were in student government in school. Maybe you volunteered to do voter registration. Maybe you were really interested in being a baseball player or on a volleyball team. So you've tried a lot of different activities, but you haven't really found purpose. You're looking for purpose or something that's really meaningful to you, but you haven't really found it, and therefore you haven't really made a long-term commitment for it. You change and you dabble on this and that. You change your interests from time to time. This is also referred to in another piece of literature and other pieces of literature called being a multi-potentialite. So you have a lot of different interests and a lot of different things that you're good at, but you haven't really found in the one thing that you're really interested in, or the one thing that you're really committed to. And that's normal for young people. You're still exploring, you're still figuring it out. So are you a dabbler? Would that describe you? The other category is called disengaged, and this definition says disengaged and non-purposeful. So these are people who show no interest or activity that indicates any care for those beyond themselves. So this definition can be perceived as a negative one, but this is, I wouldn't say it's negative. Sometimes students or people who are focused on their own personal success or only focused on, being successful, having a good reason. Perhaps you're the first person in your family to go to school and you want to show that you were able to make it out. Perhaps you're overcoming a lot of life obstacles and things that, hardships in life, and you want to make sure that you have overcome them and you want to be successful. I had a friend in college who often said, I wouldn't say he was disengaged either, but he often said the best way to help the poor is to not be one of them. So if that is your idea of why you're motivated to be personally successful, and you want to make sure that you're successful, and then perhaps you can figure out your purpose a little bit later, perhaps you would be in that category. So do you have one or more important life goals that you are committed to actively pursuing, but you're not necessarily focused in making a contribution to the world because you're focused on bettering yourself? That would be disengaged. And the last one, purposeful, is you have identified something that matters to you, something that's important to you, and you know why it matters to you, and you're currently working on that issue with a long-term plan for future action. So you know what's meaningful to you, it's aligned with your values and what's important to you, and you know that it makes an impact to the world and an impact on others. Are you purposeful? So where would you fall in these categories? And we're going to go into some examples a little bit later so you understand students who I would say fall into these different classifications. So as I stated earlier, this is based off of research based off of William Damon's book, and he did a lot of research and he found that students fall into these 4 categories, and only 20%, the lowest percent of young people are purposeful. So that means if you don't necessarily think that know what you want to do or know why you're in college or why you're going to college and what you want to do with your life, you are in the majority of people. Most people don't know what that is. The important thing that you need to do is work on figuring that out. Work on actively pursuing what you are interested in and following through. We're going to talk about that throughout the presentation. So 25% were disengaged, 25% were dreamers, 30% were dabblers, and 20% were purposeful. So which one describes you? All right, so let's go into more definition about what purpose means, because I think everybody wants to find a purpose for their life, wants to find a purpose for their education. So it's a 3-part definition for your purpose. So if you're looking to figure that out, let's go over that. So it's an unchanging, and unchanging is important. So no matter what happens in the world, no matter what happens in your life, it doesn't change your commitment or goal to make whatever your purpose activity is, your purpose in life is. And you're committed to take some action. So you're not only, it doesn't change, but you're actually doing something to take action towards. You're involved in a nonprofit, you're involved in a volunteer opportunity, you're involved in some part in doing something to make whatever the problem is, whatever the issue is, whatever your purpose is, to help to make it better. And it's something that's meaningful to you. It's something that's important to you. Perhaps something happened in your life or in the life of someone you know that makes this thing important to you. So those are the 3 key factors in finding your purpose. So let's go over some myths about purpose because there are often a lot of myths about what purpose is. So the one myth that is common is that, in life, you only have one purpose in life. And that's not true at all. So you can have many purposes in various facets of your life. You can have a spiritual purpose. So that relates to whatever your personal beliefs are and what, your idea of God and your meaning, your personal meaning and what your calling is for your life. That can be one. You can have a purpose that's aligned with your role as a parent or a mother. Your purpose is to be a mother. Your purpose is to have a family. So there are many different ways to have a purpose. You can also have your career or work purpose. And that is something that, you were meant to be, an advocate for the poor. You were meant to work and help the disenfranchised. So that is your career or your mission or your calling. So you can have more than one purpose in your life, and it's important to know that. Another myth about purpose is that, kind of like the categorization of the disengaged person, this is people who don't have real problems. I need to focus on making sure that I'm successful, and purpose is something that I'll worry about later. But like I said throughout this presentation, knowing your purpose and understanding what your purpose is a great source of motivation. It'll overall help, if you are, perhaps that financial investment banker and you're making a lot of money, but you don't really understand your purpose or what your overall goal is in life, then the money will only make you so happy. The money will only give you a little bit of satisfaction. It's good to have financial security, but for overall happiness and well-being in life, you need more than just that. You need more than just money. And knowing that you're working towards an overall greater good, improving the world, making good decisions in life, that is important. So it's not just for people who have the extra time and are able to do things that focus on making the world better. It's for everyone. It's a good thing for everyone, for overall happiness and well-being. And then purpose, not passion. What's your why? So there's been a lot of talk over the years about follow your passion and follow your bliss. However, following your passion, or the idea of things, because passions fade. Passion, the word itself it's a transitory or not permanent position to be in. And there's a lot of research on why it's important to focus on purpose rather than passion. So one of the things, or one of the other bits of research from Carolyn Dweck, who is the authority on mindsets, which is a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And that's basically with learning, and maybe you have learned this in school, is that there are people who have a fixed idea that you're born either knowing how to do math, or whether you're good at math or you're not. You're born knowing that you're good at reading or good at writing, or you're not. So that's a fixed mindset. However, a growth mindset is the understanding that the mind or the brain is like a muscle, and the more you develop it, the more you work it, the more it improves. So that is not only true for education, it's also true for the idea of passion. So Carol Dweck did another research study with students who are figuring out what they wanted to major in college. And the students who had the fixed mindset were exposed to different majors that were not what they thought they were good at. So a student who was good at writing may have been exposed to a science-based major, or a math or technology-based major. And because they were fixed about their beliefs about what they were good at and what they weren't good at, they weren't open to explore the possibilities of new majors or new possibilities. So that's not necessarily a good thing, because one of the things that's important in college is that you're exposed to different things. You're exposed to different opportunities and new ideas and new majors and new fields of study that may be of interest to you. So that's called the growth theory of interest. So you need to be open-minded, and you also need to understand that just because something is interesting to you, something that is a passion of yours, it should be, or it could be, a little bit challenging. So oftentimes in the same study, they found that students who experienced the first sign of difficulty with a major, there's an nearly every major, there's going to be that difficult course that's going to be a struggle or a little bit challenging for you to get through. So if you have a idea that, you know, because it's a passion of yours, it should be easy and it should be not difficult at all, that'll also stunt your ability to be, you know, progress and figure out what you want to do and try other things. So you should explore and develop a range of interests, regardless if it's something that you're good at or you're not. So that's the third most common myth about passion and purpose. So we're doing college on purpose because, as I stated earlier, it's an important driver for your success. And here we go with another quote from Complete College America. And that organization's goal is to have more students finish college, because I don't know if you're aware of the statistics, only about 60% of students graduate from college in 6 years. So this quote here, beginning college with a clear sense of purpose is a critical step to ensuring an investment in higher education pays personal and financial dividends for a lifetime. Because those 40% of students who don't graduate, they don't have their degree. They don't have anything to show for all of the work that they may have had. So it's an important thing to figure out what you want to do, because it drives and sets your life well after the time that you're in college. So let's get into some case studies, some actual students who have who I would describe as falling into these different categories. And we're going to start with being purposeful. So Zaniya, who is one of the speakers in this presentation, in this summit, I would describe her as purposeful. She's so fantastic. And you'll get to see her a little bit later. But I would say that she is purposeful. I met her maybe last summer or the summer before through a organization called Mentor. She was a Taco Bell scholar, Live Más Taco Bell scholar, where she won a scholarship. And she, before that, when I met her, I didn't know this at the time, but I Googled her after I met her, and I found this picture of her on the cover of 17 magazine, because she founded a nonprofit organization called the Yes She Can campaign. And the mission of the organization is to empower and inspire young women and girls as they complete their education. So she has done all this work even before she became a college student. She also does a lot of advocacy for scholarship displacement, which is the topic that she's going to be talking about, because she suffered from scholarship displacement throughout the time that she was in college. So I would say that Zaniya is definitely purposeful. She is majoring in political science. She was on my podcast, and if you want to listen to her whole story, we went into all of it. But she knew from a young age that she wanted to give back. She wanted to work in advocacy and law. She wants to go to law school after she graduates. So she has tied both her purpose for her career and her purpose for giving back to the world. She knows it's personally meaningful for her. She has a commitment. She's been working on these projects since high school, even before then, and she wants to make an impact in the world. So these are the definitions of what the purpose definition is based off of the research. So she's an example of being purposeful. All right, so this is another slide of how the work that she's done on scholarship displacement and why she thinks it's so important for her and for other students to understand it and to fight against it. She's even worked to have some laws passed both in her home state of New Jersey and also in Maryland to have this scholarship displacement banned throughout the nation. Another student who has been on my podcast is also purposeful, but I would say he's purposeful in a different way, and I think the way that a lot of people are going to be. So he went to University of Pennsylvania, and he is from our area, Philadelphia. He is a student who is from Philadelphia. Like I said, he is a first-generation low-income student, as he describes himself. So he was, I think, one of the people who I would say wanted to be personally successful. You know, that was his focus. He went to this school, and there's a lot of pressure, you went to Penn, what are you going to do with your Penn degree? So he definitely was able to get a job after he graduated. I believe in 2018 he graduated from Penn, and he works for a consulting firm. It's definitely based on his major in the life sciences. I believe it's a slide talking about. Yes, so he works for a consulting firm here in Philadelphia, and it's focused on healthcare, which is definitely aligned with his major. However, he doesn't necessarily get a sense of giving back or making a positive contribution to the world from his 9-to-5 job. So also what he does is he is I believe he's the vice president of marketing for Rise First, which is an organization to help students like him, first generation low income students and professionals, to achieve their full potential. So this organization is definitely a resource for students. He definitely wants to give back to students by providing resources and mentorship opportunities for students. So finding his purpose is not necessarily in his 9-to-5 job, but it's in the way that he contributes through this organization. So that's another example of a student finding purpose. So again, one point is that you don't necessarily have to find purpose or work or have your purpose related to your career or professional life. You can have outside opportunities or outside organizations or outside interests to figure out what your purpose is. All right, so this is another student, and he was not on my podcast, so I'm not going to picture him here. So we'll call him Tony, and we'll say that he's a dabbler. So this student was interested in finance, and he studied finance in college, and he had his internships and co-ops throughout his college, but his overall passion or his overall dream was to be a dancer. So definitely he got his degree, he secured his degree, but he doesn't want to commit to that yet. He wants to actually study dance and pursue that. So he's dabbling, he's still trying to figure out exactly what he wants. He's figuring out that, or maybe he's a dreamer. I don't know, we'll see where he winds up. So one important thing about dabblers is that consciously and subconsciously, they were constantly testing themselves through the real world experiences and reframing their life stories to understand who they were at their core. In doing so, they discovered their purpose. So like I said, dabbling is not wrong, but eventually throughout the course of your, going from thing to thing or trying different things, you need to actually figure out what you want to do, find something that's truly interesting and that engages you for the long term. All right. And so our next category was dreamer. The world needs dreamers and the world needs doers, but above all, the world needs dreamers who do. So an example of a dreamer, I would say, is a student. I'm going to use examples of a student who came into the university as undecided. So we have 3 examples of dreamers here. Undecided students, like I said, if you're not really sure what you want to major in, it can often take you longer to graduate and you're not really sure where your direction in life is going to be. So I have examples of 3 students who came in undecided and where they wound up. So one student was undecided, tried switching majors a number of times and eventually landed on his major. And right after he figured out he wanted to focus on economics and international relations. So you both have those 2 degrees as a combination, and he wound up at an accounting firm right after graduation, not because he was a dreamer, but he was a dreamer who did. He spent a lot of time networking. He spent a lot of time figuring out, especially right after graduation, because it's often difficult for students who are exploring what they want to do for them to figure out, where they're going to go after graduation, because they didn't have internships. They didn't have all the experience. But this dreamer was able to figure out and network and, advocate for himself and sell himself to the employer. And right after graduation, he was given a position at an accounting firm here in Philadelphia, and he's still there today. In addition to that, he's very successful in what he does. So he figured out what he wanted to do because he took action and figured that out. We have another student who was also undecided in her major, and she actually figured out that she wanted to do digital art as her major. And that student, because like I said, she was a dreamer, not really sure what she wanted to do, didn't really have the internship experience and the actual job experience. After she graduated, she had to do an internship to get the experience and figure out what she wanted to do. And she actually is employed within her major as a project manager for a web design team. So she actually does what she wanted to do related to her major. And then we have a dreamer at the bottom who is, she did have some opportunities after graduation. She worked in higher ed, she did some other things, but because she didn't really figure out, she didn't really take action. At this point, she's still trying to figure it out. She's gone back to school a couple of times, but she's still not really sure what she wants to do. So right now she's actually working in a brewery. All right. All right, so the last category, examples of students, and these are students, I'm going to use these as examples of students who I know who were not able to finish their education. So we're going to do the standard definition of disengaged. And these students, one student is actually went another route. He went through, I think he went through maybe his junior year and was unable to continue through his education, and now works as a pharmacy technician. So just because you're disengaged or just because you don't make it through college doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. And the next slide here is important. It's a great quote, and it's by a person, Edward Chip Anderson, who talks about finding your strengths and figuring out what you want to do. And his quote is so important. More students leave college because of disillusionment, discouragement, or reduced motivation than because of a lack of ability or dismissal. So for the students who are disengaged, this is why it's so important to understand your purpose and to figure out what you want to do, because that lack of drive or lack of motivation, or you have one idea of what it's going to be like when you're in college and it's not really meeting your expectations, that can cause you to leave the university. And you don't want to be in that category, being disengaged. Not that all is lost if you don't finish college, but college is a great investment. And regardless of whether you have your degree or not, you usually have a bill well after you either leave or you graduate. So you want to be able to have the skills and the diploma in order to get your degree. All right, so what about you? So I've given you all examples, I've given you definitions. So where are you in your purpose journey? How do you fall in these categories? And another quote that I am also a fan of, you need to figure out what your purpose is in life. What are the two most important days in your life? The day you were born and the day you found out why. So hopefully this information and these examples have driven you or ignited a passion in you to figure it out if you don't quite know what it is. And even if you do know what it is, to actually take some action and make some steps. Hopefully these stories have been an inspiration for you. So for those of you who are not at the point of figuring out your purpose, I'm going to give you some tips and advice for how you can figure it out. So first thing, to do college on purpose. When you are in college, there are 4 key things that help students find college and work, purpose and work after they graduate. And this was some research done by Gallup, which is an organization that does research to help people to be more productive and more effective at work. So there are 4 things, like I said, experiences that you can have in college that can help you to be more purposeful after you graduate and work. So like I said earlier, you need to have an internship or job related to whatever major or career interest that you are interested in. Having an actual real life, real world experience will give you insights to what the work world will be after you graduate. 2, having someone who encourages your goals and dreams. So that could be a mentor, that could be a faculty person, that could be someone who is in your family who encourages your goals and dreams, letting you know whether it's realistic, whether connecting you to different people, connecting you to different resources, connecting you to different information. So someone who encourages you and pushes you forward to help you reach your goals and your dreams. And then being given realistic expectations for postgraduate employment. So sometimes we have students who are interested in nursing who don't really, once you have your actual clinical rotation, you're in the actual hospital, you don't necessarily like what the actual role of a nurse is. You don't like the long hours. You don't like the patient interaction. So having a realistic idea of what it is in the world, the work world or the career world for your major is important. And lastly, participating in a class program that meets excuse me, that you think about pursuing meaning in work. So this workshop itself could be an example of that. So you want to think about, before you actually graduate, you know, what does it mean to be purposeful to you? What is it, what does meaningful work mean to you? How does what you do for a living contribute to the, you know, your fulfillment, your personal fulfillment, your sense of fulfillment and meaning in the world? So those are four things that you can do as a college student to help you to be successful. Also, the same organization, Gallup, did some more research, and they found that being reflective is important for having your purpose in work. So thinking about it, really thinking about doing some self-analysis and self-assessment and reflection about being purposeful. So graduates with a high level of reflection are 67% more likely to have high purpose levels in their work. So actually doing some thinking, not just I think I might be interested in, but actually doing some deep self-reflection, some having the experiences, and then reflecting on what you liked and what you didn't like about the job or the internship or the opportunity. So thinking about who you are now and who you are becoming. So like I said, doing some self-assessment about where you are now and who you would like to be once you graduate from college. Okay, another good example is having a role model or a mentor or someone who can help lead you in the direction. So who would you like to power your life after? Follow a person who is a thought leader or expert in your field, and follow their experiences. Do some research on their life, maybe the schools that they went to, the types of interests that they had. And that's definitely a great way that you can figure out, you know, is this something that I also want to do? Maybe they participated in a club or organization or a trade or association that you're interested in. Maybe they're the leader. Maybe they wrote a book. Definitely do some research on the people who are experts in your industry or in your field. All right. You also want to think about, what do you want your legacy to be when you're thinking about what your purpose is? What impact do you want to make on the world? So this is another great quote. What if right now you begin to structure your decisions based on how you want to be remembered rather than what you believe you still need to accomplish? So think about what impact you want to make in the world, because that is an important part of finding your purpose. What impact or making an impact for the betterment of others. All right, so more questions. Are there people that you want to work with or inspire? Who do you want to help? When you feel powerful and passionate, excited, when does that happen? What are you doing during that happen? So what is your strongest feelings, or what angers you the most about, you know, any injustice or any, you know, anything in the world that makes you angry? These are all signs of things that, you know, that ignite or spark an interest in you, something that's personally meaningful to you. So these are different ways you can reflect on what is important for you. So I'm going to end with a few purpose statements, a few more quotes, because like I said, I love a quote. And this relates to, you know, when you are figuring out what you want to do with your life, it's important to have a bigger consideration for your life, not just, you know, your job. So this quote from Michelle Obama during a commencement is important, kind of like what I said. It's not necessarily that you have to find purpose in your career, but you should have some element of your life that, you know, drives you, that motivates you, that feels like you're giving back, that contributes to your overall well-being and happiness. So this quote, no matter what you do from 9 to 5, know that you should always try to find some way to pursue what you love. You will have some false starts and setbacks along the way, but I promise that if you keep listening to yourself and keep yourself open to new possibilities, new people, and new ways of thinking, you'll find a place in this world that feels right for you. So no one says it better. All right, and then we're going to have another one with Oprah. Again, hopefully this is inspirational and motivational to you. Your life is not static. Every decision, setback, or triumph is an opportunity to identify the seeds of truth that make you the wondrous human being that you are. I'm not talking about what you do for a living. When you pay attention to what feeds your energy, you move in the direction of the life for which you were intended. And lastly, great quote, the purpose of life is to discover your gift. The work of life is to develop it. The meaning of life is to give your gift away. All right, so we're going to end it there. And hopefully you found this information useful and valuable. Hopefully, if you are still figuring out what you want to do with regard to your purpose, the reflections, the activities, the different things, the definitions will help you to figure out what you want to do in your life regarding your purpose. I went through a lot of information and a lot of detail, so hopefully it was valuable and useful for you. I am ready to bring up Zaniya Lewis, our next speaker, talking about scholarship displacement. If you were listening, I did mention Zaniya in my presentation, talking about finding your purpose. As I said, she is a definitely purposeful young woman. If you would like to hear her story of her college experience, her experience with scholarship displacement, she's going to talk to you about that in a bit. But she also did answer the question, how did she find her purpose in college, during the course of my talk with her. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out the podcast, Office Hours with the College Success Professor. But let me give you a brief bio before I bring up Zaniya and let her talk about her topic for today, which is scholarship displacement. So Zaniya Lewis is a graduating senior at the George Washington University and founder/CEO and executive director of the Yes She Can campaign, a youth-led 5013C nonprofit organization that provides educational resources, programming, and professional development to girls, young women, and youth nationwide. In the fall of 2019, Zaniya became a victim of scholarship displacement after winning a scholarship from the Taco Bell Foundation in November. Zaniya and her organization launched a national campaign to outlaw scholarship displacement nationwide. The Yes She Can campaign worked with local New Jersey Senator Troy Singleton to develop a bill to outlaw scholarship displacement in New Jersey. New Jersey is on track to become the second state in the nation to outlaw the practice. Zaniya is on a mission to ensure that no student is penalized for winning a private scholarship. So definitely take out your notebooks, get ready to get some good information on how learning about scholarship displacement can save you money and time with regard to your financial aid in college. So I'll let Zaniya take it away. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Zaniya Lewis, and I am the founder and CEO and executive director of the Yes She Can campaign. I will be presenting a workshop on scholarship displacement. So what is scholarship displacement? Scholarship displacement, sometimes called over-award by colleges, can impact need-based financial aid awards and the package from their school, even if the scholarship or scholarships don't cover all their expenses. So basically, scholarship displacement happens when a student wins an outside scholarship and then a university decreases their need-based aid, which may include decreasing their need-based scholarships. How have universities gotten away with this practice? So some of the universities have said that this helps them eliminate a student's unmet need first. So this means a university may reduce the loans or work-study portion. But as we have learned that not all of the universities practices scholarship displacement in this way. They actually eliminate the university scholarships first, then eliminate their loans or their work-study, which makes them have to sometimes get more loans out. We also suggest that students research your university's outside scholarship policies before applying to outside scholarships. So have there been any laws that outlawed this practice? Maryland became the first state to outlaw scholarship displacement by public colleges. Maryland law now limits the condition under which institutions may decrease financial aid, thanks to the nonprofit Central Scholarship. So under the new legislation that Maryland has passed, schools can only reduce a student's financial aid package only in one of two circumstances. One, if a student aid becomes greater than the cost of attendance, and two, if a student's scholarship provider gives the university permission. So what is wrong with this practice? Many scholarship providers and students say this strategy punishes students who seek additional funding. This practice is unfair for a student who has applied and won scholarships to get additional funding to make their college affordable. This practice is discriminatory to many students who may not be able to afford a higher education. So here's some real stories of students. This is me. I became a victim of scholarship displacement in the fall of 2019. This was the first time I realized it because I won a huge scholarship from an outside scholarship provider. So this is my story, and I said that recently I won an outside scholarship and became a victim of scholarship displacement. My university eliminated most of my need-based aid, including my university need-based scholarship, and their response was that private scholarships offset the need-based financial aid, not the family contribution. And so then my university told me to not even bother applying to outside scholarships because it will not be beneficial. My friend also was a victim of scholarship displacement. They increased her family contribution from $1,000 to $40,000 within a year. and they told her that she couldn't apply to scholarships because it wouldn't benefit her. So they said her first choice should be that she takes out additional loans. So as you know, we thought that scholarships would actually help us, but in long term, it harms us. So this is something that a lot of students don't know, or families or foundations, and so this is what our organization is trying to bring more awareness to. So the Yes You Can campaign decided that we wouldn't continue to let this happen. So our main goal we launched a national campaign in November, and our main goal is to ban scholarship displacement in all public and private universities in the United States of America. And these are our three ways that we're trying to reach our country. And so the first way is to ensure that all students, parents, high schools, college counselors, and organizations are aware of this practice. The second is that our main goal is to ensure that the scholarship foundations and their donors are aware of this practice. So we're proposing that scholarship foundations develop new policies to combat scholarship displacement. And the third is our main goal is to get the federal government to create and pass a law that bans scholarship displacement in all private and public universities nationwide. We are proposing that the federal government passes the same law as Maryland. And then we are proposing that scholarship foundations restrict their funding so that their scholarship recipients will not become victims of scholarship displacement. We are also proposing that the federal government passes the same law as Maryland. Under Maryland's legislation, schools can reduce a student's financial aid package only in two circumstances: if their aid becomes greater than the cost of attendance, and if their scholarship provider gives the university permission. So how can you take action? You can sign our petition that we launched in November. You can contact your government officials by using this website. Our organization has been very active in New Jersey, where we helped develop a bill to ban scholarship displacement at public universities in New Jersey, and the bill actually has been introduced in both chambers. And currently the bill is being reviewed in the Higher Education Committee. We ask that you contact scholarship foundations and let them know that this is happening and that they can restrict their funding to ensure that their scholarship recipients will not become victims of scholarship displacement. We also ask that you share your story and you spread the word. Share on social media why you're fighting against scholarship displacement, and make sure to use the hashtags #ban scholarship displacement and a #Yes You Can campaign. And this is a little bit about our organization. So the Yes You Can campaign is a 501c3 youth-led national nonprofit organization that empowers, inspires, and shares the stories of girls and young women who are overcoming adversity while striving to complete their education. We use live events and technology to provide educational resources and professional development to girls, young women, and youth nationwide. And in 2019, the Yes You Can campaign became a recipient of the Princess Diana Award. And you can learn more about our organization at www.yesyoucancampaign.org. Thank you. Keep